everyone, and thank you for joining us for the Mount Moon Review podcast here on Twitch as we record our live podcast. I am your host, The Razgrees. Right to my side here, you'll see the Blue Duck, Gold Duck, and we're going to discuss all things Pokemon, whether that be the TCG, the VCG, Pokemon Go, Pokemon Sleep. Quite frankly, they can slap a Pikachu sticker on just about anything, and we're going to talk about it.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? And what's up, Raz?
As little as possible, but right before we decided to go live tonight, I managed to get on social media just because I always want to just take a peek. And quite frankly, I was sitting in the bathroom, so I had nothing better to do. And I saw that we missed something in our build-up. We talked about last week about Pokemon Go having a bit of a leak coming out from a data miner that we're going to have the Shadow Pokemon, and Team Rocket Go was going to make an appearance again. And it actually dropped live this afternoon. I've seen...
Yeah, not yesterday like I predicted. So I guess Golduck's not a Psychic type after all.
Well, we expected it to come out during the Mudkip Community Day, but that obviously didn't happen. But yeah, it dropped this afternoon. For my local area here, there's a very active Pokemon Go community, and they're very active on Facebook, and they were dropping videos left and right, and I was actually able to snag a video of someone catching a Shadow Pokemon and purifying it, and I have it right here on the podcast. So we're going to go ahead and put that on the screen right now for those of you watching us live on Twitch. If you're not watching us on Twitch, however, you may be listening to us on Spotify, you may be listening to us on Soundgarden. You may be listening to us on iTunes, because we are on all major platforms now, not just Twitch.
That's freaking awesome.
It is freaking awesome. I gotta tell you, it is beyond freaking awesome.
We made it by episode 3, people.
Episode 3. So, for those of you that are watching it live on Twitch, you can see the video going on. But what we have is a regular trainer battle, just like we have with regular Pokemon Go. Anytime we have the standard trainer battles or the battles against the gym leaders. But in this case, you're facing off against somebody from Team Rocket Go. And they have all their Pokemon they're sent out have like reddish black eyes and a purple like smoke coming off them to indicate that they are indeed the Shadow Pokemon we've heard about. They can also have a little mini game that pops up that when during the middle of the fight, they try to turn your Pokemon into a Shadow Pokemon, and you have to do a lot of tapping on the screen to eliminate that from happening. And then you continue to fight until you knock out all your opponent, in this case, your Team Rocket Go Grunt. You win the battle, and you get raid balls, just like you would with any other raid. And then you have an opportunity to possibly catch a Shadow Pokemon. And then, once you've caught that Pokemon, you have the option to purify it, get rid of all that Shadow. And from my understanding, when you do so, they level up like exponentially. Like, we're looking at a CP level 12 Charmander who ends up becoming a Charizard with a CP close to 3,000, just from getting the purification process done and then going ahead and evolving. So it's a really neat dynamic. It does seem like it's going to cost a lot for players, because anytime you do the purification process, you're going to have to use rare candy and Stardust. So it's a rare commodity, especially for me. If you're doing any kind of evolving on a regular basis, you're already burning through your Stardust at a regular rate.
Wow, this is actually my first time seeing the video. I hadn't heard. I heard about it happening, but I didn't like.
Well, as we were getting ready for the podcast, I found the video, so I heard him, grabbed it, and threw a slate on there. So a little bit of scoop for you too, there, Duck.
Yeah.
So yeah,
seems exciting.
It does. I've yet to catch one of those armored Mewtwo's, so maybe I can go out and try to do that and get some Shadow Pokemon all at the same time. I can't tell because I have not been out yet, and like I said, it just dropped this afternoon, if the Shadow Pokemon gyms are their own thing, or if they're actually the gyms that are currently in place and they just become Shadow gyms for that instance. I don't know that yet. I haven't seen it.
So I did see a screenshot of a Team Rocket member standing next to what looked like, to me, it looked like a Pokestop, but it could have been a gym.
That's what I meant. I meant a Pokestop. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, I meant
it was
a
like
Pokestop.
black.
Yeah, it looked like a blackish purple, like a darker color.
Yeah.
So that's what I had for Pokemon Go, because we weren't even going to have anything for Pokemon Go tonight, but in our format. But it was just something that popped up, and I wanted to make sure we got that in there. So, what did you want to start with today, Duck?
First thing I want to bring to you guys. Now, just want to point out that this week was really, really dry for news. Not really. No leakers posted anything. No credible leakers, at least. And there were no reveals.
I did see on the format, because those of you who don't know, Duck typically types up our formats and sends them to me. Then I can look at them and say, "Oh yeah, that looks good." But on the format, he had the title of "The Dry Week," and I had to agree with him because I wasn't seeing anything of my own to contribute. So when I had that opportunity to throw some Pokemon Go in, I was like, "Yeah, I contributed. I'm a team member."
Yeah. So thanks, Pokemon Go. But I thought this would be a good time for us to discuss our thoughts on the Sword and Shield starter Pokemon.
Okay, I can see that, because we do have we know the 3 starters. We know quite a few of the Pokemon that are going to be in Sword and Shield, but the information we have the most on are our starters, and we have, of course, the Flaming Scorbunny, and what are the other two? Because I'm not good at pronouncing them, so you give it a try.
The water type is Sobble, and the grass type is Grookey.
Grookey.
I
keep wanting to say
Grookey.
Grookey.
Is your favorite?
See, that's the thing. I don't know. Like, typically, in most of the games, I usually go with the water type, but he's so dopey looking. I don't think I want to do it this time. I think I might end up going with Scorbunny this time. I typically shy away from the fire types.
So, traditionally, I like to pick fire type when I can, because that's generally one of the last types you get as far as story goes. It's like you can usually catch a water type and a grass type decently early, so I don't usually worry about it too much. But
yeah, I mean, in typically the first gym, just from back in Pokemon Red and Blue, is I'm used to having that water type initially going in. In Sun and Moon, I did rather well with what becomes Prima. I can't pronounce it again. God bless it. Primarina. I can't pronounce Pokemon names. I've never been able to. I want names like Geodude so that I can actually say them. But yeah, I get all tongue-tied. So I definitely do have a face for radio, but I'm almost don't have a voice for radio either.
So, do you have any predictions for what these guys are going to turn into?
That's the thing. We've seen some of the Gigantamaxing. So, in some instances, we're seeing that the Pokemon, once they evolve, they're just looking like larger versions of themselves. What's the new one we have that its name? I don't know its name, but it looks like a cake, and I want to say it's French. La crème.
No, Alcremie.
It's la crème. Al crème. So Al crème it's a little cupcake, but when it turns into the Gigantamax, well, now we have like a 12-tier wedding cake. So are they going to go along the lines of they're going to have the Pokemon just look larger and more fearsome like they have in the past? Or in some cases, we've had like Torchic that turns into Blaziken. So you have the little tiny chick that turns into giant fighting chicken man. Just happens to be the same color. That's really the only thing they have in common. So when we have our starters, we have little green monkey, big white rabbit, and what is really just a blue tadpole. So do we have, like, with our...
I actually think he's a chameleon.
You think he's a chameleon? I guess I could see that with the curl
we saw him
tail.
change color in the water, and then chameleons, a lot of chameleons have a little crest or a veil, and he also has the opposable fingers and a curly tail. So
okay,
it just reminds me of a chameleon.
You've convinced me. He's a chameleon, a dopey-looking chameleon. So are we going to see then just a giant, lizard at that point? Or are we just going to go a completely different route? Because it's Pokemon. We could go either way. So, but
I have some predictions here.
Well, let me give the one I'm pretty sure about. I think Scorbunny is going to look very humanoid when he gets to his final evolution. I think he's going to look like a cage fighter.
Okay.
I think that you see
the Scrapper, kind of like Blaziken.
Kinda, yeah, actually, because you see like the bandages on his nose, and I think that is a bandage. I don't think it is like a strip of fur. I think
that reminds me of like the anime quirk where a lot of times the main character will wear a bandage.
Yeah, for some strange reason. That's a Japanese thing. We don't know. But I think he's going to be like a large fighter-looking guy, and he's going to have wraps on his hands and feet.
Okay, I can see that. Do you think it's going to be a firefighting type though? Because that would probably start a riot.
I think it is. I mean, they've already said it's going to be a fire type with not they have not said, the leaks have said it's going to be a fire type but have fighting moves. So I think they are going to have something in there that's going to be both ways. It's going to be maybe give it a fireman's helmet and a pair of nunchucks. I don't know. It's Pokemon. It could be anything.
So I could see it turning into a soccer player, but that's not my main prediction.
Oh God, I hope not. But then again, it is like European based game, so maybe you might be right. I don't like you. I don't like you anymore, Duck. If you're right, I don't like you.
There is a Japanese like folktale, or Japanese, I think. Forgive me if that's wrong. I might have the origin of this story.
Pokemon
wrong.
does tend to borrow from Japanese, Chinese, Taiwanese, and Korean folklore. So it could be any of them. Let's just say it is of Asian origin.
But there is a story where there's like this old hermit guy who's like starving out in the middle of the woods, and all these animals run up to him and they find him, and he asks them all if they have anything that they can give them or give to him. And so like each animal gives a part of itself to the man, but the only one that can't give anything is the rabbit.
Okay.
Like the bird goes and finds grass for him to lay on as a pillow, stuff like that.
Okay.
And the only one that can't give him anything is the rabbit. So the rabbit jumps in the fire and says, "You can just eat my body."
Oh, well, self-sacrifice.
So that man ended up being a god in disguise, and because of the rabbit was so selfless, he projected the rabbit onto the moon to forever honor it. And that's why there's a rabbit in the moon, or like some people see a rabbit, some people see the man in the moon.
Okay, you're probably right. That's a scary thing, because folks, if you haven't figured this out yet, Duck is typically right about this kind of thing.
So what typing is already associated with the moon? Fairy types.
Fairy. Well, not necessarily, because look at Lunala. Lunala's a psychic type. But I think you're probably right.
Because that's the typing that goes over celestial bodies. But where is Clefairy from?
Mount Moon. No.
they call it Mount Moon because a stone fell from the moon and landed there, the Moonstone, which is how Clefairy evolves. And what's the strongest type fairy move?
Oh,
Moonblast.
Moonblast. So, okay. So you're thinking...
I'm predicting Fire Fairy for Scorbunny.
Fire Fairy. Okay. I can... we'll see. Maybe. So what are you looking at for our dopey-looking monkey? Our drum monkey.
I actually want to do Sobble next, because Grookey is connected to a whole nother prediction.
Okay, so let's go to Sobble.
So next we're going to do Sobble. I'm predicting... So I said he looks like a chameleon, but that little crest on his head actually reminds me of the crest that's on the head of a Chinese water dragon.
Oh, so we're going dragon with this one.
I'm thinking water dragon type. Now I know some of the leaks have said it's going to turn into a spy like a spy chameleon, but I'm trying not to let the leaks influence what my predictions are. My guesses here.
I don't know, man. The leaks so far have served us well. If you go back to episode 1 of the podcast, we covered a lot of leaks, and every single one of them was accurate. So I want to point that out.
But back in the Sun and Moon days, somebody who was a credible source had predicted or had said that we were going to get a Alolan Oddish. Like, they were right about a lot of stuff, and they also said Alolan Oddish, and then we didn't get an Alolan Oddish.
But was it just cut, and maybe it was there at one point? We don't know. But
who knows? That's a possibility. Maybe we'll see a Galarian Oddish or whatever you're going to call these different variants, if we get those as well.
You're right, and I'm being told by the voices in my ear that, in credence to your projection about Scorbunny being a fire fairy starter, we did have a water fairy starter in the last generation, so there is some history to build on for that. So
Yeah, that's actually a really good point.
So that with our Sobble, and I should know that because I used to work with a guy named Sobble. And we could have an entire podcast about that fellow. Let me tell you. So you're thinking dragon type, and I like that. I like what you're saying with that, and I think I agree with you. I think he is going to be a dragon water type. So Gyarados, look out! We have a new new giant lizard on the block.
And then finally we come to Grookey, the little monkey.
Yeah, I get rid of that monkey. I hate it already.
Well, I think Grookey's the best design, but I think I'm leaning towards Sobble as my starter currently.
Okay.
Just because I don't like where it's going, but here's where I think it's going.
I'm all
We
ears.
see him take the stick out of his little leaves, and he, taps the stick to make like to a beat, and then runs away, and and then you see the grass grow under him. I think he's gonna turn into like a bigger monkey that uses like drums.
He's going to be a giant Kong with a drum under his arm, guaranteed.
And if that's the route they go, I bet you they introduce the sound typing to the game.
I hope not.
We've been talking about it for a while. I was in discussion boards on Sun and Moon about, hey, if they added typing like they just add fairy type, what type can they add? Now, a lot of people thought light type would be a good type to add because they have dark type. And that's essentially what fairy became.
You're right, but I really don't like the concept of it. How many types do we need? I mean, when
I think we should have as many types as possible.
Okay, what about I'm gonna need more energy cards then, man, and I don't want to go out and get more energy cards.
Oh, we can talk about that in another podcast episode.
Well, I think maybe in a podcast episode we should have a contest and give away one of the cards that comes in the energy bricks, just to make somebody's day special. For those of you that have any idea about the TCG and like the pre-release program, you know exactly what I'm talking about, and you're having a good laugh about that. And I'm gonna leave that as an inside joke.
I'll have 2 of those cards to give away for free. We'll give them away on episode 4 to anybody in the chat. So make sure you tune in.
Absolutely.
So I can see them going this like the sound route for Grookey, but I can also see it being based off of Son Wukong, which is who the character Goku in Dragon Ball Z is based off of. If you've ever seen like Dragon Ball, he has that like bow staff he carries around and he flies around on a little cloud.
Yep, and that's Son Goku is another myth and tale that's based off on, but you're absolutely correct on that as well.
Right, like Goku is named after somebody, and then he's also designed after somebody. Like it's 2 different people.
Mm-hmm.
So Son Wukong is like a monkey god.
Yeah, in most of your animes now, they'll refer to any character in that archetype as Son Goku. So there's going to be a lot of people getting around trying to flame us on Twitter and everything. So just be aware of that. Do some research before you at me, okay?
Yep. So those are my predictions. That's what I think is going to happen.
Okay, I see a giant ape with a freaking big old drum under its arm, and that stick in its head is going to be the thing it's beating it with.
Yep.
I do see a giant lizard now that you've pointed out that it's a chameleon and not a tadpole. So now that you've said it's a tadpole, I can actually see like a Gyarados looking giant lizard, maybe with legs this time though. So maybe more along the line of Rayquaza. We'll see. I still think Scorbunny is going to be a humanoid fighter looking thing, just like Blaziken. I can only
see that thing being humanoid.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking it's going to be a moon based.
Now, if we're going to go more Japanese, we know it's going to be a woman.
Be a what?
It's going to be a woman. You know that.
Oh.
Last time we had a bunny, it was. And everyone had these weird images in their heads, and we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, we don't need to go there.
Because we both know someone that we both know has a very much of an affinity for that particular Pokemon. We're just going to leave it at that. Looking at you, Ethan. Going on. So, that's for the starters. I think that's
it. There's no other video game news. We can get into more video game opinionated topics like this on later episodes if there's some downtime.
Because in this particular podcast, we're going to talk about anything that's relevant as long as it has a Pokemon on it. Really, that's all that matters. That's the only criteria we need in order to talk about it is just you slap a Pikachu sticker on it, we'll talk about depleted uranium. So next we got And what a lot of this episode is going to focus on is the decks coming up that we're going to start seeing here in just a couple weeks when rotation happens, right as Worlds starts. So we're going to see a lot of different decks at Worlds, because this is the first time I know of that this has happened, that the Pokemon Company has decided we're going to do rotation right as Worlds begins. It technically is during Worlds, because Worlds starts on Thursday and rotation happens on Friday.
Yeah, so this is pretty crazy. I've never known them to rotate a set and a set become legal at the exact same time like this, or at least not during a huge competition like Worlds.
Yeah, it's definitely
Normally, Worlds is the last time you're gonna play those decks, and then the next,
the next week it's bam, something new. But in this particular case, we're going to go to Worlds and we're going to see people scrambling because they're going to have all new decks. And I know people now in the discussion group I belong into, it's just people printing proxies right now and trying to figure out what they're going to do for Worlds. I mean, you're going down to play in the Open. How are you preparing for it now?
I've been using a site called untap.in. It's like a place you got to manually do everything. Like if it says draw 6, you literally have to click draw 6. Like you click the deck and then there's a button to draw a certain amount of cards. You have to manually put everything in the discard pile. So it's kind of like playing in real life, but on the computer.
Right. So you can play with people,
So we
remotely.
just get a couple people in the Discord, play a couple games, and then call that our testing. And I'm getting ready to proxy stuff out, and I'll probably see if people want to go to my league like an hour or two early to play test the next,
the next set,
play
yeah.
test like the next format, and because we're really not doing anybody any favors by continuing to practice the format that's about to rotate.
No, I mean, even the only thing left between now and rotation is if a league happens to have a grassroots tournament, maybe a league challenge. But I think league cups are pretty much wrapped up at this point. I actually just had my league cup for the quarter back on Saturday, and I'm done. I have a pre-release and a league challenge coming up that I'm hosting, but that's just because I have to meet my quarterly obligations and because of pre-release. Other than that,
I've got my pre-release on Wednesday. Actually, I'm pretty excited for that.
I know. I wish I could make it. I love pre-releases. Pre-releases are my favorite tournaments. Whenever I have a new player come in, I try and push them to make a pre-release be the first tournament they ever get involved in. Yes, league challenges are pretty casual. In my particular league, they're actually very low attendance, typically around 20 or so. So it's a good place, but I think pre-release is where you really should get your first, get your feet wet in the Pokemon, actually going out there and playing competitively. Not that pre-release is competitive, but it's the exact same format, and it lets you get acclimated to everything. So yeah, I always try to push everybody for the pre-release. And when we go down to DC next month, you're playing in the Open. I'm going around looking for sealed events because I want to play in like that pre-release format.
I 100% agree. If you're a newer player, like starting off, pre-release is the best way to get started in the game, because not only is it low, it's casual, it's low key, there's not really any high stakes, but also the person who spent the most money on their cards is not going to be the one that wins. Everybody started off on a fair level. It wasn't that, oh, I couldn't afford Tapu Lele, so I was at a disadvantage at this tournament. So as a new player who hasn't invested in the game yet, it's so beneficial to start.
Yeah, and like you said, it's an even playing field.
Out.
Yes, somebody might draw that GX card, but here's a reality check, folks. Yeah, you may have pulled that card. You're probably not going to want to use it. Yeah. The cards that you pull, you're typically just using the evolution chains they provide you with, and maybe a couple extra supporter cards that you happen to get your fingers on. Those GX cards, they're great to have, and you feel good about it because everybody's, hold up, I got the God pull. But you're not going to play with them. Don't try to. You don't have the other stuff to do it, and it's usually too much to power them up. And somebody like me will roll in with a Diglett that requires no energy cost, and I'll just knock it out. And that's going to be the end of your story.
I think that was my first pre-release.
That was Ultra Prism when I did that to a guy at your pre-release.
Yeah. Okay, so that was my second one. My first one was Crimson Invasion.
Yeah, that was Ultra Prism. I did it with a Diglett, too, and one of your guys almost flipped the table on me.
We still give him We still give him we tease him about that from time to time.
I still call him Diglett every time I see him. Okay, so there's a lot of decks coming out that we are thinking we're going to see at Worlds and post rotation. First one I have down here to take a look at is Raichu, Alolan Raichu, and Pikachu Zekrom. So, what do you think about this one?
So, in my humble opinion, this has got to be the most consistent deck coming out.
I agree. I'm just wondering how many energies I'm going to have to run in this deck to make it stay active.
Well, probably not too many. I mean, I don't think your energy count goes up much more because you still have the energy switches and everything that you already had. That's the thing about this deck. It's already an established archetype.
Yeah, everyone's playing Pikarom right now. Let's just face reality. It's either Pikarom or Reshazard. Those are the only real. And I think that Worlds, that's what we're going to see the most of in our top 65 players. Are going to be Pikarom and Reshazard.
Well, I definitely think that. I mean, we'll get into the top. I think the top 3 decks are going to have the biggest showing.
So what else are you thinking about this unholy amalgamation of Raichus and Pikachu and Zekrom?
I mean, it's just consistent. I was testing and my buddy got he got the full blitz off on turn 1.
Ouch.
But still get it off even without Nest Ball. He top decked the Tapu Koko and it's still
did a number
still out
on
there.
you.
It's still setting up.
It's still setting up. Nest Ball being gone is gonna hurt dramatically. We went over that last week about how much Nest Ball and Ultra Ball are gonna just wreck a lot of people's decks.
You got to find Zapdos. You got to find Coco Prism Star, but you still have Cherish Ball in the next set to search out your GXs, and that's really what the deck runs on.
Right, and you're going to see a mad rush on those Cherish Ball cards, and I don't know if we're going to see a whole lot of them pulled from the pre-release, but I'm hoping there is, and I'm hoping I get a set of them pretty quick.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like the kind of card they put in a build and battle kit, so we'll see.
Yeah, it really isn't, but we did see in... we did see a lot of the not Nest Ball, I'm sorry. Oh, heck, what's the one that for Lost March pulls out the grass types?
Mysterious Treasure.
No, not Mysterious Shell.
Net
Ball. Yeah, absolutely. We did see a lot of net balls. I have more net balls than I can throw a stick at. I got almost as many net balls as I do energy.
They build those build and battle kits, and they have a grass type in them. You're not going to get a GX in your build and battle kit. That's why I'm worried about it.
Right. They're not going to be in the evolutions pack, but we are going to see them possibly in the packs because your build and battle is going to have 4 packs in it.
Hopefully, they're not seeded like Cynthia's.
Yeah, we'll definitely see what happens on there. So, and we've already talked about it. So, Pikarom is definitely going to be up there, but we also know that Reshazard is going to be up there with a lot of Green's Exploration being mixed into that deck.
That's right. Instead of the Kiawe build that just made Reshazard pop off in the current format, now it's going to the more slower build, the more reactive build with Green's Exploration. And this is the deck I'm leaning towards taking the most.
I know you
I have a
would.
few funner options we'll talk about later in the list, but I think this is the deck to play because so many things are relying on abilities right now. And with Green Search, you don't play any ability cards, and you can just get your what is it called, the power plant, and just shut them down. You got a Keldeo, I'll still beat it anyway because you're not immune to damage. I'm not flipping coins against that Whimsicott. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I've already started a collection of greens, so I've seen this coming for a while. I don't have.
I'm sure I had to place that.
I don't have a single Reshiram Charizard though, so I'm gonna have to.
I made sure I had to place out of those too.
Yeah, I still need to get my hands on some, and I'm sure that if I go on TCG Player or something right now, they're gonna be astronomical to this day. But it is what it is, and I think that is gonna be easily your top cut. You're gonna see at least half of those decks being either Pikarom or Reshazard, guaranteed. I got money on it.
All right, and our next big contestant, it's technically still an archetype that's been around, but it's changing a few cards. and that is going to be the Tina Chomp Malamar build.
I know you love that name, Tina Chomp.
I hate Tina Chomp. If you're gonna okay, Pika Rom, it's the first half and then the second half. Reshi Zard, first half and second half, and then people come up with Tina Chomp. It's not even in the right order.
Well, what are you gonna do? It's already Garchomp Garatina. I mean, what are you gonna do? Gara Gita Gita Gata. I mean, you don't got much of a choice there, but yeah, we're definitely gonna see the Malamar Garchomp. So and the thing with the Garchomp Garatina is you're gonna have to run both psychic and fighting energies in there. So that's a little gonna make it a little more awkward.
So the Garchomp Giratina is actually replacing the Ultra Necrozma in the GX based Malamar builds. It was running Psychic and Steel Energy before.
Okay, so
now
yeah,
it's running Psychic and
fighting.
Psychic and fighting. And then I've also seen people on some lists they're coming up with, they splash the Machamp and Marshadow tag team, probably to go up against some of the dark types and the Pikarom matchup.
I can definitely see that happening. It's a little complicated for my taste. I don't like having multiple energies in my decks, and that's just my personal preference. And I don't see a lot of the high-end players doing that very often. But when they do, it can be very effective if they know how to play it.
Well, it's a little bit easier now than it was in the previous format with Viridian Forest.
This is true.
That and the fact that you just, anytime you need to discard something, you just discard psychic energies and then you have those.
And you have that option. But there is another deck coming out that I haven't played with at all yet. But just due to the fact that its archetype is what it is, I want to play it. And that is Mew Mew.
Yeah, so this deck, looking at all the lists, this was the deck that I'm most excited to try out. It's going to be the most expensive deck to try to build.
Oh, God, absolutely.
The Mew Mews are already up there. They're already sold out to everybody trying to do pre-sales. So I'm not confident that I'll have 3 of them to play the deck.
I guarantee you they're going to come out with a box. It's going to have the Mew Mew. And I am going to get my hands.
There's a box confirmed already. There's one of the artworks that's not in this set.
I'm getting me some Mew Mew. I am a child of the 90s. I mean, come on. We grew up with Pokemon Red and Blue. We all had a Mewtwo. Everyone got into the Cerulean Cave. Everyone got the Mewtwo. Then the Pokemon, the first movie came out. The whole protagonist is Mewtwo. People my age, we love Mewtwo. And we're going to get our Mew Mews.
Gen 1er alert.
Yeah.
Gen 1er alert.
Yes, it is. Kanto for life.
But yeah, I'm excited for this just because it's so versatile, and that's the way I think our format's going to be. There's not a lot of Guzma switching. There's not a lot of like energy denial or anything like that right now. So decks, I think that the problem is there's not as much search. So the decks that can go off on many different routes throughout the playthrough or throughout each game, I think those are the decks that are going to perform the best. And this is the most versatile attacker we have right now. The Perfection ability lets you use attacks of GX Pokemon that are in EX and GX that are in your discard pile the EX and Pokemon on your bench, which means you could run any evolved Pokemon. If you want their attack, you just throw it in there.
Yeah.
If you want to use Greninja from Detective Pikachu that hits through Keldio's ability, you just throw it in your deck and then try to get it in the discard pile. Viridian Forest, throw it away.
Throw it away. We don't need that no more. We're just going to throw stuff in the discard and be done with it.
That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. You can have the Cobalion. Oh, no, that's in there for an ability. But, there's you could have a Reshizard in your discard pile and just put enough energy on it to do the attack and then, Oko stuff.
Yeah, so it's going to be one of those cards. As soon as you see it come out, you're just going to have to rush it and get it gone as quickly as possible. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to have it.
The only thing I'm afraid of for that is, one thing, Keldeo is a big threat to that deck. And 2, if somebody shuts down your ability, your only normal attack that's not a GX, you only have a GX attack then.
Yeah, you get an Alolan Muck mixed into the mix. You get an Alolan Muck mixed into the mix, and you're done. So, you're gonna have to have some snipers on your bench.
Well, Alolan Muck is rotated.
Did it rotate? Okay,
that was from base Sun and Moon.
Alrighty then.
It didn't see play right away. That's probably why.
Yeah, I mean, I just recently, started playing it more and more recently, and I actually had to
Yeah.
borrow one from my oldest the other week. So I'll get that back to you, Ed. I promise. So next is for those of you watching on the live stream, I apologize. Duck gave me a really crappy image. But Naganadel GX.
There aren't high res images of the new cards.
No, there's not. For in this particular instance, we can see what the card is. We know what the card's abilities are. Naganadel is now going Dragon type.
This card, I hated Zoroark because it was too good. And if you run an Ultra Beast deck, the new Naganadel GX is just busted. You run all Ultra Beast, a variety of Ultra Beast attackers. You run Viridian Force, so you can search out the energies they use, and then you just discard a Ultra Beast and draw 3 cards for every Naganadel GX you have.
Well, it's going to give us something to do with all those Ultra Beast cards we've been hoarding for years and not playing anymore.
Now, it's a little bit more balanced than Zoroark was because it won't be able to. You can't just attach an energy to it and roll. But there's the sheer amount of draw power, and then the different Ultra Beasts. Like, you get your Beast Ring activated, you can attack with whatever Beast or Ultra Beast you want.
This is very true, and it's a
Be
deck.
a very versatile deck. You just put the Ultra Beasts that are strong against the tag teams out there, and then on their tag team turn or on your Beast Ring turn, you just pop off and win the game,
Right.
or knock out a tag, punish them by taking out a tag team.
This is going to be one of those decks that people that are typically used to playing Buzzwall, I think, are going to gravitate towards. Just because of they're already going to have a lot of the Beast, Ultra Beast stuff, but then have it's going to play a lot like that.
Oh yeah, definitely agree. And I don't usually take Japan's meta as a good sign of what our meta is going to be, but this deck took over in Japan in ways that many decks don't ever. You don't ever see hype at those levels.
Yeah,
even in Japan.
I mean, I really don't, like you were saying, I don't like when people say, well, this is what they're doing in Japan. Well, they also have a completely different rotation than we have. They have different cards than we have.
Right.
And one card in a deck can make a difference. I can have, the most awesome deck in the world. Okay, let's not even go awesome. Let's just go mediocre. Let's just go Wheezing Spread. Wheezing Spread's a good deck. It's not a great deck. It's a good deck. It's a good worker. But if I take Spell Tag out of the mix, that deck is worthless as the day is long. And that's just the same thing that happens. They might have that one card or that one ability.
That deck is always worthless.
I know you hate it, but I play it, so get over yourself.
No, I have a different play style.
I know you want to smack the crap out of somebody with fire energy. That's what you want to do.
Not just fire. I just like to.
If it's
like
not Gardevoir
ramp.
or Charizard, you don't play it.
Gardevoir doesn't use fire energy.
I didn't say that it did, but I said those are the only 2 cards you play. Bring back Sylveon, baby. That's all I want. I want my little fairy dog.
See, I like both. I like my opponent and me to play.
No, I want to destroy, I want to dominate, and I want to win. And I want to just make them miserable so they quit. That's why I played Sylveon GX, babe.
But yeah, that's just the 2 kinds of players.
Yeah, and absolutely.
We got the chat calling you out for being a Pokédad
Well, they can just...
with your deck choices there.
All right, so moving on to our next deck, and I'm going to forget they said that because they're all old men too. We have a little bit of a different amalgamation here, but we're going with a dark type deck.
This deck looks exciting.
It does. It looks energy, like it's going to be energy starved quite a bit, but it does look exciting.
So if you're looking on chat, it looks like
Mega Celebi and Tyranitar, Umbreon Darkrai
Weavile is
GX.
translated wrong.
It's something that they came out, just a rough translation, so you can get a quick look at it, and it's a little off, but it is just a representation of the card, just so we could put it on there. So for those of you watching on a live stream, please disregard the text and let's just go over what they actually do there, Duck.
So the 2 tag teams here, these are what you're going to be building up energy on, and you're going to use things like, there's different ways to build up dark energy right now. You have the Sharpedo, you have Naganadels that can pull any type of energy from the discard pile. And then Weavile's ability is you can move those energy or any basic energy around however you feel.
So you're
So
just
the whole goal is to ramp into as many dark energies as you can, and then use the extremely powerful Mega Sableye and Tyranitar or Darkrai and Umbreon's attacks. Depending on what, it's another attack or another deck that's just versatile. You've run so many different things that you choose what you do based on the matchup.
yeah, and it's I say it's going to be energy starved because I think you're going to have to run a lot of energy just so you can get them out. But once you get them out, you only need 5 or 6, and you're game on because you can just keep moving them around. So unique little thing.
Right, and the Sharpedo can get the 5 or 6 energy out like instantly.
Right. It's just a matter of getting all the cards you need benched up. So it's going to be a complicated deck, but it's going to be a hard hitting deck.
Right. And I would like to point out another deck shut down by Power Plant.
Yeah. So it's going to have its flaws, but we're gonna have. I think we're gonna have new methods of getting rid of stadium cards. Maybe we'll get new stadium cards that we can just use, but there's probably gonna be other methods to get rid of them. With previously we have Field Blower, we've got Marshadow, and many other little options. Those are just the most prevalent ones, but I think we're going to see a lot more because stadium cards are making a comeback. We're not. It used to be if we were just playing 2 or 3, but you're starting to see more and more and more stadium cards coming out.
If you run a deck with abilities, you got to run 4 stadiums or play Lusami.
Absolutely. So we have a couple more decks here to go. Whimsicott is what I have next on the list.
Whimsicott is a deck that I really love it, but I also don't like flipping a coin to see if I win or not. I actually threw a version of Whimsicott together for for a league night like last week or 2 weeks ago, and it was fun. I was accelerating energy with Welder card, and so I don't like the coin flip ability, but I like the attack. That reminded me so much of Gardevoir, and I found a list that didn't really rely on the coin flips. So, I was excited to try it.
I hate coin flips, period, end of story. Let me tell you a story, actually. My wife loves the game Risk. I'm not allowed to play Risk with her. I do not like the fact that my strategic actions are dictated by dice. And I will make alliances with other players, and I will slither my way into the rear of your echelons, and I will come in and I will destroy you from behind and actually beat her, and now she'll never play me again. But that's the reason I actually don't like Risk, is because I don't like being left a chance. I am a tactical, strategic player, so I hate Whimsicott with a passion.
So I think Whimsicott is going to hold up, one, because of the coin flip. Anytime you flip heads, that's just free turn of no damage. So other decks are going to be using resources to build up to these attacks, and they might not even do any damage with all. They might waste all the resources and not do any damage to you. And then meanwhile, you're just building up energy every turn. If you have Welder and triple acceleration energy, right there is 150 or 160 damage you add to your attack in one turn.
I've already seen people playing it, and
This is fairy type, which is going to hit Garchomp, Giratina, and Naganadel for super effective damage.
Yeah, so I think it's
higher up on the list that are weakened by that.
It's going to be big. I'll probably end up playing it, if I'm being honest.
You don't have your abilities in
Power
Play.
If I'm being honest, I'll probably end up playing it, just because it's the kind of deck that I like to play, minus that stupid coin. I hate the coin flips. But it is what it is, and we'll definitely see what happens with it.
I have it built, ready to go. I don't know if I can get behind that.
Yeah, it's hard. So next, Chandelure, whatever you want to call it.
I really, really want this deck to be good.
You just like lazy looking Pokemon designs.
No, I don't like Chandelure as a Pokemon. But that attack and the effect of the attack is amazing. Discard the top for 1 fire energy. And it's a Pokemon that can accelerate its evolution through Duskstone, so you can get your stage 1 or your stage 2 on turn 2, without needing it in your hand, with like having rare candy as well. You just need a Duskstone and a Lambent. You discard the top 5 cards of your deck, This attack does 60 damage for each Pokemon discarded this way. Put any number of fire Pokemon discarded onto your bench. So what you do is you just run all the stage 2s, and then when you discard, you discard Charizard from Team Up. That's a Charizard you didn't have to evolve into. You discard Incineroar. That's a free choice band on your Charizard. You got Macargos you're discarding. Throw Macargo on, and then you can make sure whatever Pokemon you want to discard on the next attack is going to be discarded.
So I mentioned earlier that you'll play just fire decks, and you are so excited right now, dude. You are practically climbing into your camera right now because you are so excited about this fire deck. And we both know you're going to try everything in your power to play it.
I am. I might not play it at Worlds, but it's definitely going to be a contender for League Nights. I'm probably going to maintain my championship at your league with it.
Yeah, you're probably going to bring it to my league. That's the first thing I thought of. Yeah, he won't play it at his, but he'll bring it to mine.
So I had to throw it on the list. I know there's probably better decks out there that didn't make the list, but that one is one of my personal favorites, so it had to come in.
So the next deck, I personally, and we're looking forward to seeing some lists come out of it because I want to try it. And I took a chance and I made a version of it for my oldest to use at the League Cup this past Saturday. Unfortunately, it didn't do very well. But then again, he also wasn't used to playing it, so it was a little wonky. And but I'm having some success with a version that I can make on PTCGO right now, and that is the Cake Pop Blacephalon.
Yeah, this deck should be higher than Chandelure.
Yeah, I absolutely
This
agree.
is potential top 5 contender. I just didn't think about it till I was already almost done with the list.
Yeah, I definitely want to play a Blacephalon. I'm gonna let some people that are more expert at designing deck lists than I am come up with what I'm gonna use, and so I probably won't take it with me to DC, but I'm definitely gonna have a Blacephalon deck in my arsenal.
So this was always a very powerful deck because you already use Tag Team Search and you get Naganadels out, and then Naganadel can put energy. Your attack is complete. Your damage is consistent when you're using Naganadel to power up the deck. But if your opponent was playing an aggressive deck and you kept getting a Blacephalon knocked out every turn, the 2 energy attachment really hurt it. But now there's Welder. You don't have to worry about that. You run 4 energy switch and a bunch of Welders, and you're A-okay.
Yeah, you're absolutely golden, and Cake Pop reigns supreme once again.
So I would not be surprised if this deck is up there, and it loses a little bit of consistency, but it still has searches for every Pokemon in the deck.
It does indeed, and I really think that's going to be a top contender, and I think we're actually going to see a lot of it at Worlds. I think we're going to see people pulling this out that haven't played it in a long time, but it's going to be right up there with in popularity with Pikarom and Reshizard, I think. That's my bold prediction. That's my bold prediction. So we got another one popping up here, and that is the My Little Pony deck.
No.
Yes.
Keldeo.
No, that is My Little Pony. That is a freaking Rainbow Dash if I've ever seen one.
So this deck was intentionally put at the bottom of the top 10 because while its ability is very powerful that it's immune to EX and GX attacks, it's also going to be a really slow deck. There's not a lot of ways to accelerate the energy to it.
Yeah, he may be Blue Lake Sonic the Hedgehog, but he's going to be slow to go.
So because of this card, that card alone, I feel like, is why the price of Power Plant has gone up so high.
Well, can you explain that?
It's raised a couple dollars in a couple weeks.
Do you want to explain that why?
Because Power Plant shuts down the ability, so then it is no longer immune to EX and GX attacks.
Right. So, and that's we're translating now as Holy Heart, which is prevent all attacks.
I'm pretty sure the actual ability is different.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit different on here because these translations are pretty rough. These are brought to you by Limitless, and your opponent's GX Pokemon and EX Pokemon prevents all damage. So we're back to a low and Ninetales essentially, but within GX form.
Right.
So.
And those decks always pop up. You'll always see them. They'll get free wins at regionals because some people don't prepare for this kind of thing.
Oh yeah, I've actually started running into them again on PTCGO. For those of you that don't know, it's typically what I stream on Twitch is a Pokemon trading card game online, and I've been running into low and Ninetales again. And like you just said, I have decks that just aren't prepared for them. Not the ones I typically run, but when I switch decks up just to try something new or to get out of a funk or get off a losing streak, all of a sudden that bloody nine-tailed fox shows up.
Yep, and I'm the kind of player that will tech the one of in their deck to make sure that they don't have an auto loss to anything like that.
Absolutely.
I still run the Shadowy Hood and Charizard just to get around Vileplume, just in case.
Just in case. So that kind of rounds up our top 10 decks that we think we're going to be seeing post rotation. We've also gone over what we think the starters are going to be evolving into, and those are just guesses. We have no real information on that. It's just what we see and what we like to see, perhaps. And we've also gone over what we've seen with Pokemon Go this week with the advent of the raids for Team Rocket Go and the Shadow Pokemon. Duck, do you have anything else you think we should go over this week? Because I'd be glad to talk to you all night long about Pokemon.
I do think there's one more thing we should go over. We have the name of the next set that's going to be behind Unified Minds.
We do indeed, and I didn't have time to make a graphic for it, but what do we have?
Oh yeah, it's going to be called Cosmic Eclipse.
Cosmic Eclipse.
And we've seen a few card leaks so far. It's going to be pretty much legendaries, a lot of different legendary tag teams. And then
my understanding is it's most of the tag teams are going to focus around legendary Pokemon. So
I can't hear you. What?
From my understanding, most of the tag team cards are going to focus on legendary Pokemon.
Yes, and then the GXs are gonna. Oh well, okay. So they're showing us a bunch of trainers in the artwork as well. Like there's a Lily riding on the back of a Solgaleo in the Solgaleo Lunala artwork.
And how much you want to bet it's going to come out right about the same time as Pokemon Masters?
It won't, because Pokemon Masters is slated for this summer, and the set I don't think we get Cosmic Eclipse until 3 months from August.
No, August, September. Well, we might get in October, maybe, I guess.
October and November set.
I think in October. But that's without looking at the dates. I actually just got the email from Pokemon today about the next pre-release. I guess I got to read it. So yeah, definitely the new set coming out. I love new sets, but we
will be getting another new set in the form of the Shining. What is that called? Hidden Fates.
Hidden Fates, and that's going to be a bunch of alternate art reprints. So it's really not going to contribute anything to the standard format, but we are going to get some nice shiny, pretty cards for the expanded format.
So it is Cosmic Eclipse does come out on November 1st.
Okay, November it is then.
Yeah,
it is what it is. But yeah, I think with Hidden Fates, everyone's really excited for cards that are silver, but that's really all it is. There's nothing really new there. We might get one or two cards out of it that are particularly useful, like we did with Dragon Majesty. But
I think it's going to have its own set. I thought I saw this. It'll have its own set, and then plus the shiny artworks of the old Pokemon.
I just don't think there's going to be anything particularly useful in that set. That's the problem. But that's yet to be seen. We'll see what happens when it comes out. I haven't seen the whole deck list. Not that any of us really have, but because they always throw stuff in there that we don't know about until it comes out. As much as we like to think we know what's going on behind the scenes and have this trust in all these leakers, Pokemon always has a way of surprising us in the long run. So that is all I have. And I see Duck feverishly at his computer. He's trying to pull something up.
Yep, I was just trying to see if there was anything. There is not actually a lot of information.
There's not.
There's a new Cynthia artwork, the one where she's with Garchomp, and then the Moltres, Articuno, and Zapdos tag team is actually in that set as well.
Yeah, the Tri-Birds. But I think you're going to start seeing a lot more trainer art with Pokemon, and I think it's because of Pokemon Masters. It's coming out, and it's going to have all the past trainers in there, and I think that's why you're going to start seeing a lot more of them on the cards, just as a hey, remember me? You know, this is why you know me. This is why I'm in the game.
Yeah, there's a Weezing and an Arbok artwork that have Jesse and James in the artwork.
Okay,
as well.
I have to have that card. I have to have that card. For those of you that don't know, and most of you don't, our travel team that we put together, I wanted to name it the Arbok Kai. So and Duck shot it down. He did not like that at all. I was totally gonna rip off the Cobra Kai logo with a big Arbok in the middle. All right, so that is, I think, what we have for the Mountain Moon Review podcast this week. And I want to tell everybody that you can watch us record this live every Monday at 8:30 on Twitch. And as of now, right this minute, you can also listen and download the podcast on Spotify and Google Play Store. And by this time next week, you should be able to download us also on iTunes. That is a process takes a little bit longer than the other ones, but I am sure glad to announce that we are on Spotify and Google Play right now. And this episode will be available on both those platforms before morning. So other than that, Duck, do you have anything else going on this week in the world of Pokemon?
No, that's about it. Just pre-release this weekend. I'm hyped to get my hands on some new cards, and hopefully I get whatever deck is the best deck prepared for Worlds.
You're still working on your Nuzlocke stream, aren't you?
I am. Yeah.
You completely forgot.
Yeah. I've been streaming every Tuesday, Friday, and Sunday night from about 8 to about 10, and it's been going pretty good. We're getting a little bit of boosts from some random people that I don't actually know, so that's making me feel good. It's pretty motivating.
That's the beauty of Twitch,
and,
really.
We're currently getting ready to get our way to the third gym, so if you are available tomorrow at 8 o'clock, make sure you tune in to my stream on my channel, twitch.tv/blueduckgoldduck, no E.
No E. So, and you can also make sure right here on the channel of this show is broadcasting on, you can catch my stream for a Pokemon trading card game online. And that is just we get on there, we have player battles quite a bit. We do giveaways on a regular basis. And quite frankly, we have a great community we're building up. And I have a couple people in there that have just been outstanding and helped me set everything up. And big shout out to Cody and Dex. Thank you very much for everything you've done to help set this stream up. Couldn't have done it without you guys. That being said, this is going to bring us to an end for the Mount Moon Review podcast. Duck, what do you have to say?
I'd just like you guys to remember, if it's too good to be blue, it's probably gold. I'll see you next time.
Yep. See you next week, folks.
Just because your card is magic, you think you're safe because you killed my life orb. Baby, do you dare to not flinch? 'Cause I'm coming at you like a dark pole.